Hello, hello. Hey, yay, yay, yay. Reclaim Womanhood. Pessy is on. We're going to start the live in a minute. You can ask to join. Oh, here. Requested to join.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you? We did it.
So I'm so excited to meet you and to host you, and thank you for agreeing to come here. I know I'm very, very curious, as much as whoever is joining is curious about your work. So just for whoever doesn't know, I'm gonna introduce myself a minute. So I'm a massage therapist and do different energy work modalities for over 15 years. And in the last 5 years, I've been exploring the topic of birth. I since had two amazing home births, with my last even having pleasure in birth. And now I'm doing courses on birth, amazing, life-changing, perspective-changing courses. And for me, birth was always such a scary topic my whole life, and that's what made me come into this and gain all this beauty and perspective within it. And you live the way you birth, so it really starts as early as your cycle. And I feel like we all learned it in such, for me, a very weird way.
We didn't
About
learn
our
this at all.
cycle.
We didn't learn that this is meant to be pleasurable, meant to be here for us, meant to give us all these amazing things. It's just, yeah, well, let's,
The
let's get
opposite
into
of that. The opposite of that, right. And just so birth for sure, right? But then also our whole cycle, right? Like to me, I learned about my cycle when I was like 5. And the way I understood it is that you get to your teens, every woman gets to her teens, she bleeds, and then she's lucky if she doesn't die.
it.
And then so and yeah, it is weird that we bleed for 7 days and don't die.
It's a
And then I
superpower.
learned, what'd you say?
It's a superpower.
Exactly. And then I learned about it again in school, where they bought an extra outside teacher to teach about the whole way our uterus works.
Hmm.
I think they bought an outside teacher so that teacher shouldn't have to keep seeing us and that it should be awkward.
Okay.
And I think we learned it like on a very physical level. And what
Yeah.
I learned about birth is that when you embody, right, which is all the bodies,
Yeah.
the physical body, the spiritual and emotional body, then everything changes. And I think that's what you do. And I would love to see how our work comes together to make the connections today. And I'm so excited. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think as women, and I think we share this belief, we experience our full spiritual capacity, our emotional capacity, our full being and aliveness through the body. Like the body is the portal that we come into our womanhood, that we come into our fullest thriving. It really holds so much for us. And okay, let me first introduce myself, and then we'll get to how we, how our work really does intertwine. Even though we talk about different aspects of womanhood, it really comes back to the core of who we are as women, what is the power of our femininity, and how it plays out in all these different ways. So my title is fertility awareness educator. I'm also a Kyle teacher, a life coach, breathwork facilitator. It's not so much about the titles for me. It's about how I hold space for womanhood, how I embody this work, right? How, like, from the beginning, I had this vision of like this knowledge needs to come into the world, and it's going to happen in a very specific way of like how we hold this together. And that's what led me through all my trainings. Like I had this vision from the beginning. It wasn't about like, oh, I just want that certification. I want those letters after my name. It was never about that. It was, what am I gaining from this? The skill set of, to be able to support women in this, to be able to bring this forth, because it is, right? It's a sensitive topic. There's sensitivity around it. We have all these stories. It's rewriting stories, relearning stories, unlearning so much. And each one of these really gave me the skills to bring everything together. And that's what I bring to my work today. So you started mentioning this, that it starts with a cycle. So my last birth was also Baruch Hashem, a beautiful home birth. And I totally credit it to my work with my cycles. How I would never in a million years have even like gone in that direction, have even have thought like it was not even on my radar. And I was tracking my cycle, doing fertility awareness, doing cycle awareness, just like being in that flow for about a year and a half. And it was just this embodiment that you're talking about. Like when you are in connection with your body a certain way, it's like, how could you not be? Like, how, like, what other kind of birth would I want, right? And it doesn't have to be like specifically home birth is the right way or this is the right way or whatever it is, but an embodied birth that's with, like, you're in your body. And it really does start before. Like, I think so many people start doing birth prep way too late. Like, in pregnancy, great. It's great if you didn't start yet before, then definitely start now. But we're really embodying our womanhood way before, from the beginning. We're meant to have a cyclical experience way before, to come into ourselves, to come into our unique rhythm, into our, like, I'll give one small example of being present with ourselves. So, for example, right in birth, and you could speak more to this, it's how we move through the contractions, right? How we move through the labor, different layers of discomfort, different layers of intensity. And we have it in a whole different way in the cycle, obviously. It doesn't compare. Periods, by the way, should not be painful. And there shouldn't be like all these symptoms that so many women have around their cycles, like PMS and irregular cycles and mood swings and bloating and pain and all these things. It should not exist in an ideal cycle. We have those symptoms because we're constantly bumping up against a world that doesn't support cyclical womanhood, right? Like the masculine linear way is one way, the feminine cyclical way is another way. And it clashes, and it really, the idea is that they should both flow together, they should both work together. It's a marriage, literally, right? But because so many women are living in a masculine way of the world, of hustling, of pushing forward, of not honoring their feminine rhythm, these symptoms speak up because our body speaks up when it's not being in that flow.
Wow. Yeah, and you're saying that like it's right, like the world is working in such a masculine way. And birth also became like a masculine thing where they're like, push, push, hold your breath. And it's like, there is nothing more masculine about, it's like the most masculine way. And birth is such a feminine thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And, and we're women, we're soft, we work with, we're embodies, right? Embodied, like like mother, embody, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a M to our body, where a M, a mother, she sees like everything. She sees all aspects, the physical, emotional, and spiritual, and they all come together and how to work with it and not against it, and see everything as a empowering thing and a superpower as opposed to the opposite. And that way you could get so much further working with your body, with your breath, right? With birth and with the cycle, and you said that you feel like it's like coming, like it's part of our Torah in a sense, like for women to come into our body. I don't know how you said it before, but to really work with all parts in our body. How did you say it?
I didn't say it here, but I've said in the past, think of the first time the menstrual cycle is mentioned in the Torah. What is it called? How does the Torah phrase it?
How?
I put you on the spot. The way of women. Orach kanashim, derech hanashim, the way of women. And it's not because the Torah is shy to spell it out. I think people have this misconception. Oh, it's just a euphemism. The Torah doesn't want to spell out menstruation. Say like this word. And it's not true because the Torah spells it out way later, right? There's whole conversations about nida and menstruation, and the Torah spells it out very clearly. It's not about being shy to talk about this topic, or it's not appropriate to talk about this topic. The first time the Torah mentions this topic, it wants to tell us a very clear message that this is the way of women, that women move through the world in a very different way, that women embody their essence, how they move in the world. It's a whole different path. And there's no one right or wrong path. Each one has its divinity, each one has its purpose. And it's just when we're trying to be something else, we think we have to move according to a different rhythm or not our rhythm, right? That's when things get messed up. It's what is your flow? What is your unique divine path in this world? This is the way of women.
Oh, and also, when you're saying that, I'm thinking like also the way of the Torah, because like we're learning Torah the first time in the uterus, and this all has to do with the uterus, right? And
And
also,
yeah, we literally embody it. We're the right. Like our uterus is the home to new life. It's also where our source of. You think about where creation comes from through our body, right? It's sourced in the uterus. It's sourced in our cycle. Like we have this creative power, this creative energy that comes through in birth, comes through in fertility and pregnancy, and also comes through in so many areas of how we what we birth in the world as women. Like women bring forth things in a very different way. It's not through the hustle, it's not through the pushing, it's through the being in the flow, it's through embodying, it's through overflowing, like being so embodied and caring for ourselves and nurturing our true essence, our true purpose in this world. And from that place, magic happens. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like when you're in that aliveness, when you're in that thriving, things flow, things happen. It doesn't mean you're not working, right? I work hard. And it doesn't feel like hard work all the time because and it only feels like hard work when I'm pushing against something that's not in flow. When I'm
right.
like, and I share this with, I'm very open about this. I share this. I did like the Pulse of Womanhood a few weeks ago. We did like a retreat, online retreat of going through different phases of the cycle and what each part embodies and how each one gives you different, like there's no bad part or good part of the cycle. Each one has a different power, a different gift, and a different challenge, right? And then how we move through that. So I was very open with them. I was like, look, I'm launching my Embodied course, and I had a specific date of when I want to like bring it out in the world and start promoting it, and it was not lining up with an ideal time in my cycle, and I pushed it off. It wasn't pushing off by long, but just honoring, just giving that presence of, the calendar doesn't always have it right. The calendar is not my ideal time of my ideal way of like, and it's still hard for me to move with that. Even after all these years, it's still hard to accept because like I want like I think we don't like when things change. We like a plan. We like things and in birth you see this all the time. We're like, oh, but it's not going according to plan. Well, these things do not go according to plan. And the more you can be in the flow of life, the flow of the cyclical rhythm, the flow of this process, then things birth through in the most magical, beautiful way. And I mean that physically and I mean that metaphorically of how things birth through us.
Wow, when you're saying this, it's making me think, נשים פטורות ממצוות שזמנם גרמה, right? Like the
Right.
women don't have to do
I'm like,
mitzvot
yeah.
according to time.
Yep. Because we have our
Wow.
own time. Absolutely. We have our own time. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I'm also thinking, like I heard when Hashem told Moshe and Aaron, Moshe, right? He told all the mitzvot, he said Moshe. But then when he spoke about Nida and Tum'ah, Tahara, all these things, he said, Vedaber Moshe el Moshe ve'Aharon. He spoke to them together to show us that this is not like shaming. It's not something we should like talk about it as least as possible, stay away from. No, like this should be talked about. And this is part of learning Torah. And also like there's mi besari echeze eloka, like from my basar, like from
Right.
my,
We
right?
serve them through our flesh and blood. Literally, this is what it means.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
where the answers lay. Like the
Yes.
answers lay in your basar, in your bones, in your body, in your uterus, right? Has
Absolutely.
so much
Yeah.
wisdom, like to give much more wisdom than our minds could give us.
And also a core, talking about the Torah, a core way of how it's given over, right? From the beginning, Hashem told Moshe to give it over a different way to men and women because we receive things differently, we hear things differently, we process things
Right.
differently. So it's the same Torah, right? Like I share a weekly, like on my email list, I share weekly Parsha thoughts. And I love bringing it through the feminine perspective because we don't usually learn it that way. We learn it from a masculine perspective, and we're women. We have a whole different way of moving in the world, and it's so eye-opening to start looking through the lens of the feminine, of how women learn Torah, how women receive Torah. And there are 70 faces to Torah, Shiva and Panama Torah. There's so many ways to understand and receive Torah. But the first two kind of divisions or separations really of oneness, right? It's all one, but different faces of seeing it through masculine and feminine. And it's so refreshing. Like women keep telling me, like, wow, I never learned the parsha this way. I never learned Torah this way. Like this has just opened up a
Yeah.
whole new perspective.
Yeah, mamash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, yeah, it's I think it says like Ko tomar lebet Yaakov lebnei Yisrael. Like it's a whole different way of speaking like Bet
Absolutely.
Yaakov, the women, and Bnei Israel. Like and
Absolutely.
wow, it's life changing. It's life changing because it's Torah Chaim. It's and there are all the answers. Torah Chaim. It's not just like a Torah that you read. It's Torah that you live by and comes
Exactly.
and it lives in your life. And we need to live it need to learn it in a way that it pertains to our life, so that we could learn according to it, live according to it. And that's what I do in Birth. And I think that's what you bring together and your whole course, bringing in finally all bodies, the physical, emotional, and
Yeah.
spiritual. Um, and instead of like, I feel like looking, like now it's like an inconvenience. Like the time of the shedding of the cycle is like an inconvenience where we're trying to put a band-aid every few hours and
Mhm.
see how we have to deal with it as
We're
less
not,
as
we're not
possible.
taught, and you experience this in birth as well. We're not taught how to live with our power.
Right.
We hide our power. Our power is too big, too much. Sometimes we're even scared of it. And sometimes others are scared of it, right? Sometimes the world at large puts down the power that we really have as women. And we really see it. There's the power of menstruation, there's the power of birth, there's the power of how we hold ourselves in our body, of what we birth through our body. And the cycle, the menstrual phase itself, the actual menstruation, is actually a rebirth that we get to experience every month. And it's like you said, it's a shedding, so it's a death and a rebirth in one process. And even in the days of menstruation, you might find like the first day you feel differently, and the third day you feel more of like a waking up kind of sensation, like, oh, okay, because your estrogen is actually starting to rise. Estrogen is the hormone that rises in the first half of your cycle, and that's what gives you that, like all those good feelings and energy, and like if it's rising. And then the second half of the cycle, estrogen drops, so we do feel more of that drop as well. But I think just reframing, what women find so powerful with my work is this reframing of good, bad, positive, negative, and it just becomes how we move. So there's the rise and there's the descent. There's the coming inward and moving outward, and the circle and the cycle and the full process, because that's the full process that gives us the full experience of life. Because yes, we need to sleep at night and then we can be awake in the morning. And the same as with a cycle. We have times when we're more at rest and times when we're more active. And honoring that flow, honoring that rhythm gives us a much fuller experience, helps us prevent burnout and exhaustion. So many women are just exhausted from life. Like, could we just basic taking care of ourselves? Like, this cycle is here to honor your unique self-care process. You didn't have to go figure out like, wait, oh, I'm crashing after I don't know, 3 months of just crazy stress without giving myself a break, and now I'm
Wow.
done.
Wow, you're
Yeah.
saying this, and I'm like, this is life changing.
Mm.
And wow, it's like it must be learned in order to work better in life, like work with my hormones. And it's
Absolutely.
the same, and know about these hormones. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we hear these hormones, like let's say when I teach in birth, we talk about oxytocin, right? Pleasure hormone, and we know that oxytocin is what starts the process of birth, and it is
Mm-hmm.
very much released in very, very high amounts during births, but we
Yeah.
don't connect pleasure in birth. We know oxytocin, pleasure, that, but then, and then connecting it and then working with it, rising the oxytocin even more and allowing it to do its job and rise on itself, is birth changing from, from pain to pleasure,
Yeah.
and and rising and falling, right? So the rising and falling of
Birth is
the
also a cycle. Absolutely.
exactly, and from pain to pleasure, or from misery to pleasure, right? And here in life, from exhaustion to creativity, to knowing when you need more rest and working with that.
Yeah, and also what you're saying, what's coming up for me is this: not only are we like coming to terms with something that we're annoyed at or we think is holding us back, coming in the flow doesn't just mean like a quiet acceptance and resigning ourselves. It actually means that we recognize that this is holding us, this is supporting us, this flow is actually giving us
Wow.
the the what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's moving us in life. It's giving us that push in the opposite way. Like we don't have to push and force. It's the concept, and it's whatever. We're going in a very spiritual direction, but this is very real, right? The concept of being held, right? We think of the concept of like I'm like being held on eagle's wings, like confidence or Hashem is holding me, right? We have this physical feeling in our body because guess what? Our cycle is holding us. Our body, the physical structure of your body. If you can just take a minute and just feel the outline of your body, the skin, your outside, your support. It's your container. It's holding you. It's holding the essence of you, right? Everything about our physical body is a support. It's here to hold us, and we don't have that relationship with our body. We don't have that relationship that our body's actually transmuting to us. It's actually channeling to us this divine flow, this spiritual, this Hashem holding us through our body. Like we have this physical. Everything physical is really a metaphor to the spiritual. Not only a metaphor. I think a metaphor makes it sound like it's just a make believe. It's actually the physical manifestation of the spiritual. It's one and the same. I really believe like they're all one and the same. It's the same process that you're moving spiritually, you're living physically as well.
Yeah, and I talk about this in birth all the time, that with each surge, wave, we like to call it, with each contraction, wave, you don't only open physically, you open emotionally, you open spiritually, you're opening things spiritually, and you're becoming the sky, the Sharei Shamayim, and
so funny. I just heard a song, "The Sky Isn't the Limit," and it opened a whole new perspective for me. Because we think there's a limit. Actually, there is no limit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But going back to also what you were saying, so I hear the idea of calling it a wave or a surge instead of contraction, because the contraction has a certain connotation around it. But there is the cycle is also has a contraction and an expansion. If you think about the time of the month when we're more inward, right? More, it does feel like a contraction, like the premenstrual menstrual phase, the nida phase, right? Like it feels like a constriction versus the expansion of mikvah and post ovulation. Wow. Ovulation itself is literally like ovulation itself is like a mini birth, because what's actually happening? Think about the science. Like, I'll nerd out with you for a second. What happens in the ovary before an egg is released? There's literally a mini pregnancy happening because the egg is contained within a follicle, within a little container, and it grows in that follicle. So it's like a pregnancy within your ovary every month. And then at ovulation, that egg is released. So it's like that, that similar creative energy of like birth, something coming through you, something being released. Wow. And the what I wanted to say with that is, the contraction, the expansion, right? That we think that one is negative, one is positive. It's actually the process of life. And I talk about this a lot, and I know you're very passionate about the subject as well. We talk about the exile and redemption, the galus and geula, that we live in our cycles, right? Why were women the keepers of redemption? And later in the year, now I'm doing the Embodied course, but later in the year, closer to Pesach, I do a small immersion called Redemptress, where we embody this power of, yes, we bring geula to the world. We bring geula into our life every day. And it actually lives in our cycle. If we can honor the constriction, the contraction, we can also honor their expansion. And it really goes together. Because and that's why it's also like the whole process of nida as a whole. There's so much. I feel like in one live, we're really going to scratch the surface. But there's so much in our cycle that we tap into that is so much bigger than we could have ever imagined, that could have ever dreamed of. And all along, we're just thinking, the cycle is annoying. The cycle is a burden. The cycle is a curse. The cycle is just here to stop me and like prevent me from living my life. If we only know the power that lives in there.
Wow. So yeah, I think it's definitely like, wow, opens up for me like something to like, I need to live this way. I need to live this way in order to success and to succeed and to find more creativeness. And when am I more creative?
Joy and thriving and aliveness. Like, women, you deserve to live your best life. Like, don't just drudge through life. I don't know if that's even a word.
And when you were talking about constriction and expansion, I was thinking about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, how that he was in the Me'ara, in the cave,
right?
And that was, so to speak, constriction, but so much Zohar, shininess.
I mean, that's the pregnancy, right? How much grows in the hiddenness, right?
Wow. And it actually formed in that constriction, and then only because of that it was able to come into play and be birthed.
Right. Right.
Wow.
And if I'm talking about a cave, I mean, the womb is a very hollow, dark organ. Like
It's
it's dark.
actually, they say it's mashul to the cave of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai.
Wow. I'm not surprised because it has this empty, dark, hollow anatomy. Like it's just nothingness. And I talk about this a lot, how the nothingness is what, like the void before creation, right before the world was created, there was this void, there was like this emptiness, this nothingness. That is actually the fertile ground for creation, for birth, for everything that we're moving into. And that's what we tap into that every cycle as well. We tap into the nothingness. And we're so uncomfortable with that. Like we avoid the void because what will come up there, right? Like, oh, well, actually, maybe we'll actually see how amazing we are. And nobody ever like gave us permission to think that, right? Like we're afraid. Oh no, but really we're afraid of how terrible we are. We're such terrible people. If we let
Yeah.
ourselves think that, if we let ourselves go into the emptiness,
Mhm.
that's the truth that will come forth. What's really at the core of who you are? Why do we go there? Why do we think that that's what's going to come through? And maybe there will be some stuff coming up first, right? Like if we actually let ourselves be in the mess sometimes, like we're in the mess of healing and the emptiness and the nothingness, and things come up. Maybe like difficult emotions, maybe things that we're processing. But underneath all that, there's that purity of who you are that wants to be seen, that wants to be noticed, and we keep like pushing it down. We keep not going there. We keep just like keeping ourselves very busy, distracting ourselves with a million different things rather than just being. Right? The feminine is being, masculine is doing. Both are gifts, both are needed, but we're not. We're not being.
The world is lacking that. It comes together with what you're saying now is like the depth, right? It's like Yitzchak in this week's Parashat Toldot, right? Yitzchak was digging the bowl. It was a how do we say? It was a pit,
Yeah,
right? And then at first there's like dirty water and
I
dirt
love
and who knows what
that.
else there is inside. But then he knows that every pit is a well inside with pure, yummy water, sweet water, healthy water,
Yeah,
rejuvenating water.
yes,
Um,
yes.
wow.
And also about the being, if you think about all these physical processes, right? If you think about birth or nursing or things that we do through our bodies that burn tons of calories, like it takes so much energy for a woman's body to gestate, to birth, to nurse, to cycle, all of this. But we're not actually, like doing crazy work or plowing the fields. Like, right, that's like the male process is plowing the fields, and the woman's process is the childbirth and the cycles and the physical process in the body. So they're both work, right? There's masculine work and there's feminine work. But feminine work is not meant to be the hustle that we're used to. It's the beingness. It's the creating this vessel that holds this whole process. Who are we becoming? Who are we being? How are we being present with, right? That beingness is actually is actually what's doing, it's actually what's creating, but we're not actually doing or working physically for something, but the work is happening, the process is happening, we're receiving, we're being with. Yeah, there's so much so much that like the feminine, like we're not acknowledging the feminine power. It's just, oh, just by the way, or just second class, or just there's so
Or
much
just a
power.
curse. Or just a curse.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
it's like, and that's like the source of all. Like it's a curse. And like we view it in everything, the cycle, the birth, and so and bezat apecha tuchal lechem, even work, right?
Right.
So we can view it all as like a curse and not see what's under it, what's in the depth of it. It's
Yes.
not a curse. We
Yeah.
were meant to turn curses into blessings. That's what we're here to do. Yesh inyan sheitapecha kol letova. So wherever there is an opportunity and a greatness to making everything bad turn into great, into
Absolutely. And
good.
there's something so thrilling about digging up the goodness of something that the whole world
Mm.
thinks is like. There's something so thrilling about it. I love it.
Wow. So
Yeah.
tell me, what do you teach in your course? And what is
So
it called?
So it's called Embodied, which is very aligned with everything we're talking about, right? And it's based on the fertility awareness method. So the fertility awareness method is a way of tracking the cycle. It's a container for everything we're talking about. Like, how do you live with your cyclical rhythm? How do you know where you are in your cycle, right? Like most people don't even know when they ovulate. Everyone knows when they're on their period. That's quite obvious. But besides for that, right, we don't know what else. It's only one piece of the cycle. That's what we think the whole cycle is at the period. No, there's actually a whole cycle we move through with all different parts and phases. And we get to live in each rhythm and each season and each stage. And the fertility awareness method is a very specific set of signs in the body, that we have signs in the body telling us where we are in the cycle. So we don't just have menstrual blood. We also have cervical fluid. I call this the golden period, where maybe
Wow.
you recognize this, maybe you're familiar with this, that you had cervical fluid. You see some kind of other fluid, you didn't know what it was. Maybe you just thought it was like you got queasy, whatever it was. That's actually your cervical fluid. And that actually shows you're probably about to ovulate. And there are different signs we track. We track also temperature, because temperature tells us that we have progesterone in our body, which we only make after we ovulate. So these are the basic tools, the basic signs that we track for. And what it helps us see is getting a very clear picture. Where am I fertile? Where does my fertile window open? Because the ovulation is when we're fertile, right? We can only get pregnant about 5 to 7 days every month. And that's the fertile window of the days leading up to ovulation, and then about a day after ovulation as well. So we have that week window every cycle. And yet, so many people who, for some reason, whatever it is, they need to be on birth control, they will shut down their cycle for the whole cycle just for that 1 week window where they can even actually get pregnant, right? And there's a time and place for everything. They're different. Like, the birth control conversation is not an easy conversation. There's no perfect option. Even the natural option, you want to learn it. You want to it's a commitment. You want to make sure that you do it properly. Once you have it, it's amazing. You have it for life. You never have to worry about refilling a prescription or when your IUD expires, like, you have it with you all the time. And it gets better and better, just like any life skill. You get more confident with it. But everything has its ups and downs, its pros and cons, and we weigh and measure what makes sense for us. Everyone's gonna have a personal decision around this. But I wanted to teach this because I realized how powerful the cycle is and how we're shutting that down with birth control. And women are not accessing the cyclical power. They're not, just like you can, like, there's similar conversations in birth as well. Of course, there's a time and place for epidural, but nobody can argue that you're not accessing the full depth of the experience when you're putting yourself under, like, you're putting it down in that way. You're putting down your experience in that way. You're suppressing it. So yeah, I always balance this conversation very, very sensitively, because there is a time and place for everything. We have Baruch Hashem, we live in a world where Hashem did create all these tools. I don't believe they're separate from Hashem. There's no natural is what Hashem wants, and conventional medicine is not what Hashem wants. There's no such thing. Hashem is in charge of all of it, and they're all different options for a reason. However, it's understanding our natural rhythm, how we were created, how our body works, that can help us make decisions about what's actually right for us. And for me, that was the way to go. And I wanted that option to be available for more women. So I brought it into the Orthodox Jewish world in a way that's gentle, in a way that's feminine, in a way that's aligned, in a way that's embodied. That I don't want this to be a pressure, right? Some people can say, oh, it's like another thing to learn, another thing to, like, another course, another commitment. It's actually taught with so much gentleness, so much softness, so much femininity, so much embodiment, because I believe the embodiment is really the key here versus memorizing all the things you have to remember and know. No, take in the knowledge, right? There's the chachma and the bina. Take in the knowledge, let the seed be planted, but let it come through your body. And that's where you have the full da'as, the full knowing, which we all deserve to have, that full intimate knowing of ourselves and our bodies and our cycles and how we move in the world. And that's literally what you get in the Embodied course, in a nutshell. Like, small.
I'm sure, in a very, very small nutshell, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's life-changing, obviously. But I'm thinking also there's so many other courses like this, and I'm just thinking, if we, you and also myself, we bring our Torah inside of it, and that's the source of everything, and that's hard to find in these topics.
Yeah.
So
It's a big one.
Super exciting that this is coming out.
Talking about Pastors told us that we just had last week. I bring in a lot of these different sources and different examples of how we see that, this is not new, right? This was known for thousands of years. And Yitzchak and Rivka actually prayed for children after they weren't intimate again after the prayer. They prayed within 3 days of their last interaction, right? The last intimate interaction, and they knew that they were still fertile, because yes, you are fertile for about 3 to 5 days or whatever it is, 5 to 7 days. Everyone has a different fertile window. That's why you track your unique fertile window. But they had this knowledge. They knew that they can still conceive from that encounter, and their prayer was in hindsight for that. It wasn't like, because usually, where did this come from? Because usually when the Torah announces a pregnancy, that a woman got pregnant, they say they were intimate and she got pregnant. that skipped over here. They don't say that they were separate because they read it before, and then this was the like the knowledge that they had that yes, you actually are. It's not about like right away, only when you're intimate, only when if you're ovulating at that moment. No, there's actually this 5-day window where the sperm can survive in a woman's body for 5 to 7 days, and with cervical fluid and all that, and conception can occur when the egg is released in the right time. So all this knowledge of knowledge lives in the Torah. That was my passion from the beginning. Like I knew everything true is found in Torah, and I'm a seeker. I like go for it all the way, and I was devouring different resources and just finding different answers for big questions that I had. Like because we don't learn about this. So for so many of us, when we learn Torah in school or yeshiva or Beis Yaakov, whatever it is, we skip over these topics. Again, sometimes for good reason. I'm not going to like debate whether like what we should do growing up, but I also will say that we have different maturity levels of Torah as well. How you learned the parsha in third grade shouldn't be how you learn it right now. Right. You have more maturity, you have more perspective, you have more embodiment. Right. You're living in your body a completely different way than you lived when you were 9 years old. I mean, come on, you have your cycles, you have maybe you were pregnant and had babies and whatever it was. You are living the world in a completely different experience, and of course you will approach the Torah and the parsha and the stories of our matriarchs, of our foremothers and forefathers in a completely different light.
Wow. You're saying this. Wait, I have 3% battery. Let me just run and get a charger. I'm sorry.
We're almost winding down anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
So just a point I want to make, because you said this, I feel like it's like we all feel like we know the parsha, we learned it, and we have to keep learning it. It's like, because
And
like you said,
sometimes
we need
unlearning perceptions that we might have gotten from a whole different place.
yeah, and and then it's in every way. It's in intimacy, and it's in, like you said, the cycles and birth, and we have to keep learning it. And I feel like a lot of us, we don't. So I just want to put it out there. And
It has to be our interest, right? Like some people enjoy learning, some people are like, oh, never mind, whatever, I'm good. So it's fine. Everyone is here to choose the life
for
they want to
sure.
live. For me personally, I'm a seeker. I love learning. I love understanding things. I'm always going to like delve into the truth of how I understand life, how I understand the world. I mean, that's what got me into all this. There was no way I would have even questioned the cycles or what it's actually here to offer us if I wouldn't have this desire, this yearning for really, because I always felt like a victim to my hormones. I felt like my hormones were just out to get me. I had very crazy mood swings. Like I would feel very intense the week before my period, and I was just like, it came to a point where
Wow.
like enough is enough. Like I don't want to live this way
Wow.
anymore. I understand this better. So it
Wow.
started with understand, but then it went even deeper of like, not just do I want to understand intellectually, actually embodying this is where I'm going with it, and that's what helped me so much. Like healing my PMS, not having painful periods, like people, you're not supposed to have painful periods. Like it's not actually how it's meant to be. I know everyone says, oh yeah, this is just what it is to be a woman. No, it's not. It's not. It's meant to be, like you said, it's meant to be pleasurable. It's meant to be enjoyable. It's meant to be powerful. It's meant to be your home base, your essence as a woman, and coming home to that.
Wow. I see a comment. Do you wanna
Yeah, someone said that I
read it?
mentioned the book Passions of the Matriarchs. It's a really good resource if you want to learn more about. The way they write it is they're writing it as a story, but it's like everything is sourced. Like the footnotes have all the sources of like the actual direct quotes in the Torah of what they're talking about, but they write it out as if they're writing a story. So you read the stories of the women in the Torah, because like they're not always a big focus when we read it through the Chumash, right? So there could be like one little verse in the Chumash about it, but then they also go through the Midrashim and like different things around it. So they have
Wow.
a section on Sarah, they have a section on Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, the four Imahos. Yeah,
Wow.
very, very nice book.
Wow. Okay, I was really beautiful, and thank you so much for coming on. And do you
Thank
have
you.
anything else you want to tell, say, share?
Look, this was just a little nugget. If this sparked anything in you, there's so much more to learn. And really, like, this is literally opening the conversation, opening the door. My Embodied course is starting this Wednesday, so in 2 days. If you have any questions, you can DM me. I'm happy to share more about it. There's so much there to learn. And it really starts with our body. Like when we come into the experience of, I'm living in this body, I'm living in this cycle, I'm living in this, who I am as a woman, we approach life so differently. Like the outcomes that the things people share after doing the course, it's like, I can't even share these things as like a promise because I don't know what it will be for you. It's whatever you come in that needs alignment with. So people have seen amazing changes in their marriage, in their parenting, well, obviously in their shame and guilt and how they feel around their cycle for sure, but in their self-care and their energy, doing things they finally enjoy, like feeling like they're actually thriving life. Like it starts with the body. It starts with this groundedness of coming into, I'm tracking my cycle. And most people come to this because they want to track the cycle for a technical reason, like either for natural birth control or maybe to, get pregnant naturally, because the same method works for both ways because it's the same fertile window. It just depends how you apply it. Or if you have like a hormonal imbalance, like PCOS, irregular cycles, different things or you just want to be present with your body, present with your cycle. So it really works in that sense, but it goes so beyond the technical, and especially the way I teach it from the embodied perspective, it's open so much. It opens so much for people to actually see, like we're talking about here, see the world through these feminine eyes, through these like with a softness, with how we're meant to move in the world, with things aligning, things flowing, things being easier, things being like we're not meant to struggle and hustle all the time. Yes. Like it's meant you deserve ease and flow in your life. Absolutely.
Wow. Wow.
And you also
Wow.
teach about I don't know when your next birth course is. You were mentioning
So
something.
I'm up to my last class now, but I'm sure I'll have a birthing class coming up in the next few weeks or months, whatever. Depends, how many people ask. But yeah, is it a one-on-one course? No. Which one?
Embodied is not a
Both
one-on-one
of us
course
are not.
either. Right. It does have the option of adding on. So we have different package levels
Mm-hmm.
they can choose.
Mm-hmm.
There's Embodied Premium, there's Embodied Lux. We have either with myself or with Panina, who's also on the team. She's a fertility awareness educator, also an instructor teaching in the Embodied course. So we have most of it is coming from me, but then she's here to support you as well. So we have those two options, and everything is on the website. I can just say it here. It's reclaimwomanhood.com/embodied. You'll see, if you scroll down, you'll see the regular option. There's also payment plan options, and then you go down, you'll see like the personalized packages as well. So everything is there very clearly. And of course, if you have a question, feel free to DM me. I'm happy to help you out.
And my course, what did you
Yes,
say?
go
I
ahead. Yeah.
didn't say my course is on Zoom or in person in Lakewood, New Jersey. And yeah, embodied course is always a class, she's asking.
What do you mean it's always a class? Meaning versus one-on-one? So the material is there. You learn all the material. You have a full library of videos that are going to be available to you. I drop content every week. It's one module per week. And then we have the Q&A calls where we have the discussion around it, like the questions after class. So the content is pre-recorded. You get to watch it at your own pace. And then the Q&A calls are live, also recorded. If you can't make it live, you get to submit questions anonymously because some of them are sensitive topics. I want you to be comfortable asking anything. And we also have a WhatsApp group. Like it's really designed to give you the most support possible. And there still is an option of one-on-one if you feel like you need to add that on, for sure. But definitely DM me if you want more clarification. All right. This was really nice, Chana. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Nice to meet you.
See you.
Bye.
Take care. Have a good day.
You too.